Hello and welcome to the Grove. So today we'll be looking at the Arcane Season 2 official trailer. We're going to be stopping and starting. I watched this trailer maybe a dozen times. This is not the best way to watch it if you have not seen it already. There's a link below in the description. I recommend you go watch the trailer, then come back here and we'll nerd out together, because we're going to be stopping and starting pretty much the whole way through. The trailer does start out kind of slow with stuff that we've already seen, but then it goes crazy.
You were right, Kate. My sister is gone.
So we open up to a flashback from the end of Season 1 with Jinx launching the rocket at the Piltover Council. This is a pivotal moment because it shifts how Vi sees Jinx, and she even says it blatantly here.
My sister is gone. There's only Jinx now.
And then we can see this wanted poster just float by. And then we have these explosions again that we saw from the original teaser trailer. And I think we see a lot more of these explosions that come up in the trailer, but again, it's something that we've already seen. Then we got the hooded figure, which we're pretty confident is Victor at this point. We confirmed it in the last trailer with the shot showing his cane, which is a pretty important scene from the previous one. And this scene itself is the same as the Arcane Season 2 teaser trailer, so nothing new here.
I want to tear that laugh from her throat forever.
I'm ready.
But something interesting is that you hear Jinx's laugh followed by Caitlyn saying, I want to tear that laugh from her throat forever. And just, this is right off the bat, and Arcane Season 2 is looking to be a lot darker than Season 1, and Season 1 was already pretty dark. Okay, this is really important. So we see Caitlyn come out of the smoke, but now look at this. We see Vi lined up with some enforcers. And if you remember back from the Arcane Season 2 trailer, we hear Caitlyn say this.
I will lead a strike team into Zorn with 3 objectives.
This appears to be that group. And everyone looks pretty cool. You have this big guy and small lady on the left. But then what's really interesting is on the right. Now we see a lot of Cheerians in Arcane. Those are these guys that look like a cross between a human and a bat. But finally, we're going to have a Vastaya with some screen time. For those who don't know what Vastaya are, they're magical beings who originate from Vastaya Shirei. Vastaya Shirei were mortals who took the magic of the spirit realm into themselves during the Titan War in Ionia. And that was a long time ago, but eventually they mated with mortals, and that's how you get all these different Vastaya all over Runeterra. In Arcane, just know that anytime you see a humanoid type creature that's not bat-like, for example, this guy that serves Vi food in the Undercity from Season 1, that's a Vastaya, and this guy is definitely Vastaya. And we're going to see him again later in the trailer.
To return peace to this city, you must declare martial law.
Shot looking up at the Hex Gate with some smoke around it. And the Hex Gate is used to transport ships all over Runeterra. You see that in Season 1, it being active. And this is really foreshadowing, I think, what happens later in the trailer to the Hex Gate. And we have this shot of Caitlyn looking over Piltover, and I want you to draw your attention to this on the right. Piltover buildings are blue, sometimes green, sometimes red, but usually blue, but all have like a colored roof with a white painted structure on the bottom of it. This building on the right is straight red, and it has scaffolds, so this is a new building that's being constructed recently. I have a feeling this is a Noxian building. After that shot, Ambassador Medarda say that they must declare martial law, basically saying the military must take over. And she's obviously referencing the Noxian military to be exact. And so I think that Noxus is setting up a permanent home in Piltover. And if you don't know where Noxus is here on the map. Piltover is here, and Piltover we know is powerful due to its trade location. It's a key location both in trade to northern and southern Runeterra. And so Noxus obviously covets Piltover in a lot of ways, especially because they have locations in Shurima and they really value a lot of the resources in Ishtal. There's a lot of reasons why Noxus likes Piltover. But I think Noxus became even more interested in Piltover once they discovered Hextech, and Noxus values strength above everything. They don't care about anything other than power, whether it's Hextech, Chemtech, anything, it doesn't matter. Noxus values power, even Solari armor, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But that's why Noxus really covets Piltover. They want Hextech, they want to use it as a weapon. And if you look at Ambassador Medarda, if you look at her helmet, that's very representative of the Solari. It looks very Solari. If you don't know who the Solari are, they're from Targon. Targon is located here on the map of Runeterra. And the Solari worship the sun, and there's a lot of references to the Solari on the Medarda family. If you look at Mel Medarda in her flashback, she has that chest symbol when she's a kid. That's a symbol of the Solari. Again, when Jinx is shooting that rocket, in the end of season 1, you see Mel Medarda's armor light up with like a golden glow. I have a feeling that the Medardas have some tie to the Solari, and again, there's another symbolism of the Solari with like the sun crown that she's wearing. So I don't know what the connection is between the Medardas and the Solari, if they're just using their armor, because again, they just value strength, they're Noxian. But there's definitely a tie between the Medarda family and the Solari.
And martial law.
Okay, and then you see Piltover Enforcers just go to town on a lot of the Undercity, and this girl that gets whacked is from Echo's group. She's a Firelight. We saw her in season 1. Remember when Vi and Jinx finally meet up at the top of that tower in the Undercity? She's the one that grabs the Hex Crystal and then disappears in that smoke. And then look at this shot of This is such a cool shot of Chem Baron Tower. If you remember from season 1, this is where Silco has that meeting with the other Chem Barons to put them in their place, basically. The Chem Baron Tower is definitely the penthouse suite of Zaun. In Zaun, kind of the higher you are, the more powerful you are, the more money you have, because you know you're getting closer to that clean air, closer to that Piltover society. So the higher you are, the better you are, and Chem Baron Tower is pretty freaking high, and it's got like a nice garden in there, fresh air. So this is just an awesome shot of the Chem Baron Tower, and you see something going on the left side with the light flashing.
Topside is the real enemy. You have the chance to rally the Undercity together. Your symbol.
Okay, so actually a lot just happened here. Sevika is telling Jinx that you have a chance to rally the Undercity and that you're a symbol. And if you look at this shot of people walking by her, everyone has their hair tied blue and is dressed very similar to Jinx. They're all trying to represent Jinx in the Undercity. She has become a symbol. And this reminds me of in Convergence, that group that almost idolizes Jinx. Although they kind of go a little too far, and Convergence from a different timeline, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'll just say this, that you can see that they're blue hair and people are really starting to idolize and follow Jinx in the Undercity. And then you see Vi looking up at this mural of Jinx, and you see the Piltover building is again white walls with a blue roof, and you see all these colorful explosions coming out of it, and we'll come back to this again. And we see that it's Vi. She's still got the Piltover gauntlets, although she's dressed a little bit differently. I mean, you see another shot of her later in this, but she's got like the wolves on her back. She does not look, she's still on the Piltover Enforcer side. But that's definitely interesting. And then there's Vander posted up behind her. So just remember this shot because we're going to come back to it in a bit. And then you get the blue flare, which is the same that Jinx used to call Vi in season 1. Although this is definitely not Jinx holding it, it may have become like an Undercity symbol with just the blue flare. But right after that, we see all these fists rise up. And this might be that moment where Civica starts to see Jinx as that symbol to rally the Undercity.
So what are you planning?
Watch it all burn.
And after that, Sevika asks Jinx what her plan is, and her plan is to burn it all down. And we get 2 shots of Vi reaching for something, not doing too great, and then Mel Medarda being even more pissed off. So I think we're going to see Ambassador Medarda kind of get more and more violent and angry as season 2 goes on. And burn it all down she does. We get this close-up of the Vastaya, who just looks awesome. Then we see this, so it looks like one of the people from Vi and Caitlyn's elite team of enforcers is arresting someone. And then there's this explosion going off. So I don't know, maybe he was setting up the explosion. I don't know if it was Jinx by herself who set this up. But this is the first of a lot of explosions that are about to go off. And this is kind of sad. This is the Zendelos Incognium Runeterra, which is one of the more iconic locations in Piltover. There is some lore to it, but that's not really relevant. It's just an iconic location in Piltover that's getting blown off its stand here. And here's the shot that's getting referenced later with Vi looking up at that mural of Jinx. This is the shot with all the Piltover buildings getting exploded. And again, if you look on the left, you can see that Noxian building with the scaffolds going up it. So it's newly built, and Noxus looks like they're setting up a permanent residence in Piltover. This really doesn't show too much Undercity people attacking Piltover Enforcers, followed by Noxus people attacking something, but look at Embasa Medarda. If we compare this to her at the beginning of this trailer, she does not look nearly as calm, collected, and calculated as she did. In fact, she looks distraught, angry, like she's fighting more with rage and anger at this point. Now, this might be the most important thing in the entire trailer. So we see something explode out of this structure, and I believe this is a hex core. And Victor talks about it in the beginning, so I'm going to play that line from season 1 here.
I'm calling it the Hex Core. It's an adaptive rune matrix. Hextech that evolves.
Right after Victor stated that line about the Hex Core kind of being alive and adapting, Heimerdinger gets this flashback to the Rune Wars, which was a very bad war in the past where people used world runes to fight each other. And world runes are magic on a nuclear level. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I think what we're seeing here is a Hex Core who's adapted and grown into its environment. And we see like that blue beam shoot out of the top, which I'm not sure, maybe someone's destroying the Hex Core. But look around it, you can see all these structures around that look very related to the Hex Core. The 2 structures grown up around it. And there's 4 people outside. Now keep these 4 people in mind because I have a feeling we come back to them later, because you look at this little doorway in the center that's kind of going into the Hex Core. And I think we see these 4 people later in the trailer.
You felt it, haven't you?
We then get this shot of Singed, a very close-up shot of Singed. And if you know a little bit of the lore of runeterra, you know that Singed is the one who creates Warwick. We don't know who turns into Warwick, but I'm pretty confident it's Vander. And we see this awesome shot of Warwick just destroying a Piltover guard.
The Arcane is waking up.
Now you get a quick shot of the Hex Gate again. I don't know what's happening here, but the sky is cleared up above it. And if you look in the bottom left, you can see again another shot of that Noxian building. But then these are those 4 people that I was talking about. Again, there's 4 people, and you could see when you zoom on her foot, it looks like she's being, the Hex Core is becoming integrated with her, she's becoming augmented by it. And again, looks very similar to Victor, although it's not purple. Victor's like kind of has a purple tinge to it. The way it's shaped and the way it's on their body looks very similar. And if you look behind her foot, you can see kind of that similar structure again. So it looks like some of that structure's on the inside. I think they're actually inside the Hex Core at this point, or just outside of it in that same location. And these are those same 4 people that we saw outside of it just a little bit ago. And the last thing I want to point out here is that voice line is very interesting. The Arcane is waking up. And I feel like they're saying that because it's kind of alive. It's almost like an organism at this point. It's able to adapt and evolve and integrate with other beings. How that relationship works, we're not sure of that yet. But it's probably one of the most interesting lines in the whole trailer.
The Arcane is waking up.
Now we're seeing a little bit more of the fight between Jinx and Vi. And then guys, I can't believe this. The Vastaya, if you look in the background here, is just getting bodied by some Undercity Chemtech guy. I'm pretty confident that's him. You can see a little bit of the blue in the hat. So rip to the Vastaya. It was awesome to see him for a little bit. I don't know if he survives that, but I'm really happy that we at least got to see a little bit of a Vastaya in Arcane Season 2, because there wasn't that much of them in Arcane Season 1. Not to be confused with Kyrians, which are not Vastaya. Again, those are bat people.
Sometimes taking a leap forward.
Now this also is very big. If you look here, I'm not talking about Echo's board. Look at his back. He's got the Z drive. So I hope we see a lot of Echo in this Arcane Season 2, how he gets the Z drive, how he acquires it. I want to see him using it, which I do think that we see later in this trailer actually. And so that's really awesome. And then the art style in Arcane is so good. If you see right when Echo hits this Noxian soldier, the whole screen turns black. You just get that splash of white. Like the art style in Arcane is so freaking good. But yeah, the main thing that I wanted to point out here is Echo has the Z drive. Now we see 2 of these explosions. I'm not sure what's exploding here. I think one of them we do see Vi running from later in the trailer. One of them could be the inside of the Hex Gate. I'm not really sure where these are. I don't remember seeing anything like these in Arcane Season 1. Any of these structures. They could just be other Hex buildings in Piltover. But then you get this quick shot of Heimerdinger after the explosion. And if you look really close, if you get it perfect, it's kind of hard to time. You get a half shot between Heimerdinger where you can kind of see like the inside of a Yordle. So that's the Yordle bone structure. I thought that was kind of cool.
Means leaving a few things behind.
This has to end.
And I'm not sure what Echo's pulling here, but he looks like he's kind of dressed up pretty nice for once. So this could be him. Maybe he was infiltrating somewhere in Piltover. Then you get this other shot of a Hex Core, and at this point, it's really not looking at all like the Hex Tech in Season 1. It's looking almost like a cell. And then we get Emo Vi again. I'm not sure how this happens, how Vi goes from being a Piltover enforcer to an Emo fighting in an underground pit. But that's definitely Vi. You can tell by like the fist hand in the air. That's 100% Vi. And then you can see her jacket, and we saw her earlier with her hex gauntlets looking at the Vi, looking at the Jinx mural.
This has to end.
X-Gun again, but this is really interesting, this part. We see Embasa Madarda, it looks like fighting with Piltover Enforcers. I would say that maybe she's training them or something, maybe trying to make them better to fight the Undercity. But those axes look pretty sharp, and that does look like blood. So I'm not sure why Embasa Madarda would be fighting Piltover Enforcers. They should be on the same side, but she's definitely fighting them here. And then here you can see Vi is running from one of these buildings that explodes. She's just holding some random Piltover Enforcer, but the building explodes. And I think that could be one of those inside buildings that we saw earlier, which was a Hex Tech type building exploding. Now this scene is also very interesting. First we get another look at the Vastaya, my boy. Okay, I freaking hope he survives the whole season. We got the Vastaya in the front. These are clearly Piltover soldiers huddled together, and it looks like a corridor. And you can see Noxian, it looks like maybe ships. I mean, we see water splash up after a little bit, so maybe there's cannon fire. Maybe that's not water, that could be just smoke. But those definitely look like ship sails. Blood red Noxus color, ships. Maybe they're firing cannons because these guys look like they almost get hit. Maybe Piltover and Noxus don't continue to see eye to eye as Arcane Season 2 unfolds. And Embasa Madarda really is fighting and killing those Piltover soldiers that we saw earlier. I could see Noxus maybe seeing the fight between Piltover and Zon, Piltover not able to control Zon, there's Hex Tech, there's Chem Tech, there's all this new technology. We've already shown on the map that Piltover is very close to Noxus, literally adjacent, they share a border. Piltover is very valuable to Noxus, so why not just make them your enemy and take Piltover for yourself? They can't handle Zon. It could be seen as a threat to Noxus. And we see more Noxian characters potentially show up, as we'll see later in this trailer.
Then stop me.
And then we get a crazy shot of Jinx. She looks awesome here. And she's got like purple and blue now in her hair. I don't know, she looks really cool here. And I don't know if that's from the same scene with Caitlyn looking up, but it does seem to imply that it is. And I'm just gonna play through this next part because like there's a bunch of flashes of a couple of different scenes that happen all at once. I'm gonna play through it and then we'll talk about each little part. Okay, so that was a lot. So we do see that Echo and Vi do appear to be working together again at some point. And you see a little bit of black in Vi's hair. I'm not really sure what's the deal with the hair or how she goes like full emo black. But this maybe is like a halfway point between her going to that side. Maybe her hair changes color like naturally. I don't think she just dyes the roots and then she decides later that, oh, you know, I think I'll dye my whole head black. But this seems to be either leading into that or leading out of it based on her hair. But look at this. This is one of the coolest frames in the whole trailer and it happens so fast. This looks like Rise holding a Hex Core. Again, like one of those more things that Victor was working on where Hex Tech, but it's augmented and more alive than just regular Hex Tech. So this is really cool. One of the coolest scenes I saw in the whole trailer. And this is definitely Rise holding it. And then Jinx is getting pulled away as a child. I'm not sure I'm not sure what this is from. And here's the shot of Echo I was talking about with him holding the Z drive, and he's definitely using it here. So we are going to get to see Echo use the Z drive. Then we get a quick flash of Caitlyn fighting some Chemtech guy. And then we get this shot, which looks very similar in terms of the area to the Hex Core that we saw in the beginning with those 4 people. But looking at the wrist, this looks very much like this is Jace. And if you remember, he had that band on his wrist that he keeps that crystal, that Hex crystal in, which was from when he was a child that Rise gave him and teleported him and everything. That looks to be fusing with his arm. And the reason I'm saying it's Jace is because look at the placement of the crystal on the arm, and then look at his shirt. You know, he's got that white long shirt with the red striped pants. This does look like Jace. His hammer looks a little different. Usually he has that Hex hammer that you saw him. He fought alongside Vi against those Chemtech guys in Zon. But this appears to be Jace, and he does not look happy looking at the Hex Core. Then you see this. Remember when I was saying that we see more Noxian characters come into play in Piltover, and these two places are going to get really tied together? I believe this is LeBlanc. Now, we did see that someone who could potentially have been LeBlanc in Arcane Season 1. Now, LeBlanc is a part of the Black Rose, which is like a secret organization in Noxus. She's also known as the Pale Woman. And she's like really manipulative, and she's great as like an assassin or a spy because she's able to use her magic to mirror herself or appear as anyone anywhere. And she can even be in many places at once. She's like the ultimate spy, assassin person you could ever dream of. And she's part of that Black Rose organization. And so if you wanted to infiltrate Piltover and you're from Noxus and you wanted to see what's going on and get eyes on the ground and understand what's happening in Piltover with Zaun and Hextech and all this, the first person you'd want to send in is LeBlanc. And I believe we saw her in Arcane Season 1, this old lady with the red dot on her forehead, because if you look at LeBlanc's character model, she's always got that red gem on her forehead, right? And so this character just seems like a nice innocent old lady, like that is LeBlanc. And honestly, if you wanted to infiltrate a place, you wouldn't go in as like a big hulking guy, right? Or some young woman. You'd want to go as like an old lady. Everyone's nice to an old lady. And so that's what I would think LeBlanc was in Arcane Season 1. She had already been in Piltover, infiltrating Piltover, and she knew everything that was going on, and she was probably relaying that stuff to Noxus. This is again LeBlanc, and it looks like she's taking the form of Silco. And you can see like those two lines under her eyes. You can again look at LeBlanc's model, she's got those two lines under her eyes. So I think this is LeBlanc taking on the form of Silco. And we know Silco's dead, but his return would definitely add some chaos to Zaun. So coming back as Silco, just like coming back, being like freaking the chosen one rising again would probably be a good move. I'm sure you'd gain a lot of followers very quickly in Zaun as Silco. Then we see Emo Vi coming face to face with Warwick. So I'm definitely interested to see how Warwick interacts with Vi and Jinx, because I'm pretty confident that Warwick is Vander and Singe turned Warwick into Vander, and this is now him coming face to face with Vi. I mean, I hope he recognizes her in her emo phase, but we'll see. I also noticed that the Warwick in game, he has both claws are pretty similar, but this one looks like his arms are different. Like his right arm looks very mechanical, but then his left arm still looks pretty human. Like it looks like you can see the fingers, right? So I thought that was really interesting. And then finally we get a little bit more of the fight between Vi and Jinx. I'm not really sure what's going on here or why what she's holding is exploding. I've talked a lot about the mural in the teaser trailer, and that's how it finishes. I'm super excited for Arcane Season 2, if you can't already tell. I've already watched Arcane Season 1 way too many times, to be honest. I'm probably going to watch it again. If you like this video, do like and subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. This is a runeterra lore channel, so any runeterra lore is what I cover. You covered the Freljord, I covered why Demacia's mages. I got another video that I'm almost done with, which goes in detail on the lore of the Yordles. I love the world of runeterra, and I just like sharing it and making these videos. Special shout out to those who have joined the channel and subscribed. It means so much to me that you guys would do that. I'm gonna have your names float by right now. Thanks for stopping by the Grove, and I will see you in the next one.